Hello, Parkdale Music students. This is your second theory lesson. Last week we looked at the staff, notes, and pitches. Basically, we talked about how these 5 lines here is what we call the staff, and followed by different notes along the stave here, or here, or here are called pitches, and also that we have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4. In other words, 4 spaces and 4 lines that notes can actually go on. Now, last class you had homework. Now, I would like to give you your answers for that homework. So, can we turn to last week's homework that you were supposed to do? Pause the video now if you need to find that, because I would like you to get a red pen to mark it correctly or incorrectly. Okay, assuming you've done that and found your sheet or whatever you did it on, this is what the answers were. Number 1 just told you to draw lines. There were dots here, and to draw lines across to make a staff. Now, what I didn't instruct you to do was what the book says, is to draw numbers. So the numbers would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, or 1, 2, 3, 4. If you actually read the instructions. If you didn't, that's okay. I didn't technically tell you to do that. So, number 2 tells you to put an X on either a line or a space depending on where it is. Okay, so the first one was given to you, which was line 3. Then the next one was given to you for space 2. If you got that, tick it. Line 1 was here. Space 4 was here. Line 5 was here. Space 1 was here. Sorry, what was that? Space 1. Line 4. Space 3. And line 2. So it was across here. Those are the answers for number 2. Please tick them or cross them with a red pen. And if you didn't get those, please come and see your teacher or email your teacher if you want a little more clarity. Okay, so here's your third one, the answer for third one. It's asking you to put notes this time. So the first one was given to you as space 4. The other one was line 1, space 2, line 3, space 1, line 5, space 3, line 2, and line 4. All right, so that is your number 3. Please double check that and make sure you got it right or wrong. Just tick or cross them, please. All right, pause the video now if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to keep moving. For number 4. Now, number 4 is where you determine whether the second note is higher than or lower than the first one. So I'm just going to give you the answers, okay? So between the first and second of the first one was given to you already as H. The next one is L, then H again, then L again, then H. So please double check those answers and see if you got them correct. All right. Hope you got a lot of them correct. If you got most of them correct, well done, or all of them correct, well done. If you got only some correct, please review the last video to make sure you got it right, to make sure you understand before moving on, and please make sure you ask your teacher for help. That is extremely important. Now, let's have a look at lesson 2. Today, we're going to continue looking at the treble clef and staff. So please put a heading over the set of 5 lines. Either draw them or go to your exercise book where there are music lines. So, a treble clef basically is a term we used for a specific kind of symbol. It looks like this. I'm going to show you how to draw one. All right? A treble clef looks like this. Here, here, over cross, shoot down, and that. Okay? So that is a treble clef. Now, go back on the video through the video to see what I mean again, because you will be doing that as part of your homework, okay, to see how I did that. In fact, let me do it again. I'll just draw it again. I start here personally in the middle of the first space, and then I come around almost doing a letter C to touch the top of to touch the middle line, sorry, then come around to do a backward C all the way down to the bottom line, and then kind of go around again, go around the first round, and then shoot across, and then curve it around. I'm just going to write through that, and then shoot down, and then put a little thing at the end. All right, like I said, you're going to be doing that as part of your homework to be able to draw that a few times. All right, now what does this mean to a musician? If a musician reads that, they understand it as playing notes that are high sounding. So if I were to play treble clef notes, a pianist would probably play with their right hand and the higher part of a keyboard or piano. Okay, but there are other types of clef to tell you to play low notes or middle notes, etc. So we're looking at treble clef today. Now, the treble clef is basically telling us what notes to play on the keyboard. So, we've talked about how we have notes on the lines and spaces. So, in treble clef, I'm just going to draw some notes on the lines. Now, you may or may not be familiar with these from primary school. Alright, I've just drawn notes. Now, these notes all tell me what notes to play on an instrument. So for example, if I saw this note, I know to play this. Any musician would know that playing that note specifically is a note on the keyboard. Okay? If I were to see this note, that's another pitch on the keyboard. If I saw this one, etc., etc. These notes have names. So this one we're going to call E. G is the next one, then B, then D, and then last one is F. All right, so those are the names we give those particular notes on the line. Now, hopefully you remember there are actually notes in the space. Over here, over here, over here, and over here. Now again, if I saw this note in the space, I know to play this. If I saw this note, the next note, and the next note, etc. All right? These have names too. F, A, C, E. By the way, you should be writing this down, guys. If you haven't already, please pause this video now and write this down. This is extremely important for your assessment later on down the track. All right, assuming you've paused the video. What you may or may not have noticed that it is actually in alphabetical order. You can see from E, F, and G, and then suddenly goes back to A, but then continues in alphabetical order. That's because music notes go from A to G and then repeats. That's all you need to know at the moment. All right. So you can see they happen to go up alphabetically now that I've put the lines in spaces. So they actually go in a stepwise motion from line to space, line to space, line to space, line to space. This is actually the order of the notes in alphabetical order. Now, there's two ways you can remember this, and you might have done this again in primary school. One way is just remembering the first note in E and then going up alphabetically in space, line, etc. Okay? The next note is always in a line or space if the previous one was a line or space, the opposite. Okay? So, the best way to remember the first one, the ones in the line, is coming up with a rhyme. So, every good boy does fine. Excuse my handwriting. The other way is every good boy deserves fruit. That's probably more common. But also, just remembering them alphabetically helps. And the ones in the space, spell face. That's the best way to remember that one. So that's two ways, using a rhyme system or going up alphabetically if you just remember one. So that depends how you best learn, but that's all you really need to know for that one. All right, and that is literally all you need. Now, what does all this mean? Basically, we are all going to go back to the keyboard one day to discuss how this works, okay? Like I said, all of these notes, if I see these notes, there is only one key on the keyboard that tells me what to play. So for example, if I see this one, I know there's a specific key on the keyboard that I have to play, that I have to remember to play. So that's how it works. That's how musicians